Imagine, it's a beautiful day, 70 degrees, a little bit of wind, and a whole bunch of sun. What better to do than go for a walk? If you've ever worked out, I'm sure you noticed a positive change in your attitude. If you haven't, go outside and go for a 20-minute walk, and you should see a difference within a few weeks. All my information came from the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Science Direct Journal and Books. Studies have proven that physical activity and the duration of it can release chemicals in the brain that can fend off depression. Throughout the last few years, researchers have put in a lot of time to figure out if physical activity can help fend off depression. Gretchen Reynolds with the New York Times found a study that's different than the rest. Past studies have shown that there's a link between depression and physical activity, but the study done by JAMA Psychiatry actually found evidence on how physical activity can prevent the development of depression. I'm using exercise and physical activity interchangeably because in this study they're not the same thing. Research showed that running or another form of strenuous exercise takes less time than a more leisurely physical activity like gardening or walking. The study used something called the Mendelian randomization, which zoomed in on genetics. They never said what these genetics were actually called. They only referred to them as snippets, which have specific behavior and health risks. So depending on the variant of the person, they could naturally be obese and overeat, or naturally exercise and be slim. Scientists wanted to dig even deeper and found people who had the snippet for depression. And they showed that people who have that and they exercise actually helps with their symptoms compared to those who don't exercise. They're stuck in a rut and just go through the motions. As I had mentioned, exercise can take less time than a more leisurely physical activity. Scott Douglas with the Washington Post said, how you structure your workout, how long, how hard, etc. can actually supercharge your post-exercise mood. Walking for just 10 minutes a day gives you a chance to mentally regroup, but if you go for 20 minutes, you'll see an even better mood boost. The more strenuous, the more feel-good chemicals are released, also known as endorphins, and different exercises tend to release different amounts of those chemicals. The best mood booster exercises are aerobic exercises. Aerobics are a form of exercise that require oxygen, so you don't build up that lactic acid, which is what makes you sore. Examples of aerobic exercises would be walking, bike riding, swimming, and obviously exercises in the water. So let's talk more about those feel-good chemicals. When you exercise, you can be in two different moods. There is a high positive activation, which is what makes you feel happy and alert, and the other one is called a low positive activation, which is what makes you feel that calm and relaxed post-workout. I mentioned endorphins a little bit, but let's go more in depth. Endorphins are known as the natural opioids in the body, which cause us to be in our better moods. When you exercise, you have your exercise brain on, which has higher levels of chemicals called endocannabinoids, which is what causes you to relax as well. Being outside can also have an effect on people's mental health. This has not been proven yet though. They're doing more research with Journal of Environmental Psychiatry. However, the Washington Post interviewed a brain researcher named Jeffrey Burns, who said he feels his mind is being set free when he works outside versus inside. In the recent past, studies have been proving physical activity and the amount of time doing it releases chemicals in the brain to help stop the development of depression. If you don't believe me, I encourage you to go outside and exercise for at least 20 minutes, or just do some form of exercise every day for a few weeks. I hope you learned something about physical activity and pay more attention to your post-workout mood.